What's that, man? Salute, salute, salute. Nocturnal thoughts. All my subscribers, man. Bow. Salute to y'all. Salute to y'all. You know what I'm saying? Salute yourselves. For real, man. Pat yourselves on the back. Pound yourself on the chest. Give yourself a proper salute for being blessed and not stressed. Take a deep breath. And let's talk about some boxing. So, I was watching a little press conference between Costa Tszú's son, Tim Tszú, and Tony Superbad Harrison. You know what I'm saying? Nice little fight. Interesting, intriguing, tantalizing, because it's like a road to Jermell Charlo. A road to Undisputed, a road to fight Jermell Charlo. Tony Harrison has that history. They already fought 2 times. And Costa Tszú was lined up to fight Charlo this fight, but Charlo had to pull out of the fight because he broke his hand. Now, I'll be honest with you. I have not seen Tim Tszú's fights. None of them. Some highlights, and I watched boxing gyms break down the styles and how they would, you know what I'm saying, look like against each other. So salute the boxing gyms. And to be honest with you, when it comes to Costa Tszú, I really can just remember 2 main fights that I remember watching. And that was the fight against Diego Corrales, and the fight against Zab Judah. Other than that, I can't just recall a lot of his fights. Tony Harrison, of course, the 3 fights I think of with Tony Harrison that I think of. Everybody else might have seen all these fights and can do. The 3 fights that I can think of when I think of Tony Harrison: Jermell Charlo, the first fight, the second fight, and then the fight he had against Willie Nelson. You know what I'm saying? Those are the 3 main fights I think of when I think of Tony Harrison. So, listening to the press conference, how do I think this fight's going to play out? Keep in mind, I did watch boxing gyms. Tony Harrison, he's been training Alicia Baumgardner, and he's been pretty much putting himself back together as a boxer, getting back to his discipline, getting back to his true form, sharpening, you know what I'm saying, tightening up, conditioning, and being motivated. So I think that's going to help. You know what I'm saying? I think that's going to help. However, there is definitely a blueprint on how to defeat Tony Harrison that I've seen in the past as far as conditioning. Tony Harrison in the later rounds has always seemed to have somewhat of an issue with his conditioning and stamina, where he would fade down the stretch, and then if you catch him on the beard, if you catch him clean on the chin, he can go down. You know what I'm saying? And I have seen some little punching power from Tszú. Now we know genetically, if he's anything like his dad, that tenacity and that power, you know what I'm saying, that's going to be there. And I've seen some highlights, so I've seen him knock a few guys out. However, this would be the biggest name, biggest test, the most elite level boxer that he's fought. So it's definitely a step up fight. They both have a lot to fight for. You know what I'm saying? They both have the opportunity to accomplish a level of greatness, but they have to go through each other. on one hand, I can see Tony Harrison outboxing him. Just because Tim Tszyu, he from what I've seen, tough, tenacious, scrappy, but not really highly level skilled, crafty, not a lot of dimensions, should I say, from what I've seen. I don't see him going into different dimensions to where he can box on every single level. From what I've seen, I don't see that caliber of fighter. So I can see that he could be out boxed if you start to set these traps, do a lot of feints, box on the back foot, you know what I'm saying, do a lot of like check hook, get out the way, keep it very professional. Like Tony Harrison would have to stay locked in, keep it very professional, and not give any grounds, not let it turn into anything that resembles a dog fight. You know what I'm saying? Which Tony Harrison definitely has learned from that with Jermell Charlo. And the thing is, when I look at the first fight, which close fight, could have went either way, but I kind of always thought that Jermell Charlo kind of, it was a good decision, but I think it could have been a draw. But I still could see where Jermell Charlo had Tony Harrison in a lot of danger in the second half of the fight. So in the second fight, in the rematch, you've seen Tony Harrison, even though he won, I just remember him saying that this fight I got to win, but I got to do a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that's one of those fights where he won, but he kind of felt like it was controversial. And I don't think in his heart of hearts he felt like he really, really won. I feel like he felt like he got a decision. In this next fight, he wanted to put down a little bit more of a statement to stamp that victory. So he decided to kind of walk Charlo down and not necessarily box him, but kind of, you know what I'm saying, get into the get in the inside of the pocket and do his work in closer quarters, and you know, kind of beat Jermell Charlo without being on his back foot as much. Not just using his jab, but just walking him down and then trying to bully the bully. You know what I'm saying? He just seemed like he had that mindset of, I'm gonna stand right here with you, and I'm so much better than you. I'm so much more athletic than you. My reflexes, you know what I'm saying, my knowledge of the sport, I'm just gonna be able to dominate you because I'm superior with my boxing style. And he got caught in the second round and got dropped, but then he started to really establish his jab. He started to box him, but once he started to box him and got comfortable, then he started to kind of be more stationary and just walking him down. And he had a lot of success. He had a lot of success rolling off Charlo's shots, making Charlo miss, making Charlo pay, taking Charlo out of his element. But he got tagged in the 11th round. It's a lot of showboating. It was a lot of showboating out of nowhere. I think poker face was just starting to, you know what I'm saying, the mask was coming off a little bit. He said, you know, a couple of times that he wasn't as in condition as he could have been. He got hit with some shots to the body, you know what I'm saying, shots to the liver that made him quiver, but he kind of tried to play it off. But eventually, you know, he got to dance and he got to doing all this. That's all you got? And then he got caught with a hook. And then it was over. And he just was completely discombobulated, head snapping back. Charlo finished him in dramatic fashion. So that always kind of left the question, if he would have decided to box, would Jermell Charlo have got that knockout? You know what I'm saying? Now, Tim Tszyu is not Jermell Charlo, so you take that. I think Tony Harrison had 2 fights since then that I really wasn't on my radar. I think one he got a draw, and the other one he got a victory. But both of them sound like they wasn't him at his best performance. I think the first one he came back, it was a draw. It was kind of a gifted draw, but he didn't have a great performance. Listening to him, I heard him talking about it then. He just said, he wasn't. He rated himself very low. He gave himself a very low score. And then the second fight he had, I forget who it was against, but I think he did a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? So I add that to the fact that he's been helping Alicia Baumgartner and he's been getting himself back in shape and he's motivated, highly motivated. Then that makes me lean towards him putting on a good performance, keeping everything professional, tightening up, working behind his jab, strictly outboxing him, and just getting the victory. Problem is, he's gonna be in the backyard. He's gonna be in hostile territory. That makes me think that Tszyu might get a little bit of home cooking, but he, at the same time, I think really what he would have to do is the same thing that Kambosos would have had to do against Devin Haney. When you are more of a banger and you're going against a pure boxer, you just got to make it rough, and you got to have a lot of rounds that can be swung either way, so you know that you're gonna get some of that Jeff Horn versus Pacquiao type of, you know what I'm saying, scorecards. But you got to make it look like that too. Like, I remember Teddy Atlas when he was commentating Jeff Horn versus Manny Pacquiao. He was saying if the judges were really doing their job, they would obviously score this fight for Pacquiao. But if they just come and do a regular job and just, you know what I'm saying, go through the motions of doing their job, they're going to give it to Jeff Horn because he's looking like he's being more effective than what he really is. Tszyu has to pretty much do the same thing. To me, it seemed like his biggest claim to fame is through his last name, but he still seemed like the type of guy that's wanting to put in the work to be like, you know what I'm saying, honor his father and not disgrace his father, or not just live off of his father's name, but actually take the torch and the legacy and keep building and make his own, create his own legacy. And he knows that in order for him to do that, he got to get through Tony Harrison, and he got to fight Jermell Charlo. That motivation, plus the fact that I have seen him, he tough. I see he is tough. If he's relentless, if he can make this turn into a slugfest or a fight, or if he could just make it rough, then I expect him to get the nod. Even in a close fight, I wouldn't be surprised if he got the victory. Then at the same time, I could also see him knocking out Tony Harrison, because I've seen Tony Harrison just fatigue and get hit on the chin in later rounds, and I've seen Tszyu knock people out. So from highlights. So when I put it like that, I'll be honest with you, Tony Harrison, he earned my respect. I'll be pulling for him sort of as an underdog. I would love to see Tony Harrison, Jermell Charlo for the third time, you know what I'm saying, so that they can, you know, best 2 out of 3. But we gonna see how it play out, I guess, because you can't sleep on nobody. You can't underestimate. Just because I don't know a lot about Tim Tszyu, don't mean he's not a threat. You know what I'm saying? He might come in there and make a huge name for himself. For me personally, going into a fight with Jermell Charlo, because I know if he beats Tony Harrison, the next thing that's going to have to happen is Jermell Charlo. You know what I'm saying? And that's a huge opportunity for Jermell Charlo. That's an even huge opportunity for Tszyu to make that fight even bigger than what it was going to be before, because before that, people were just already saying that he's only getting this fight against Jermell Charlo because of his last name. Now, if he beats Tony Harrison, it will make it more legit. You know what I'm saying? If he beats him in dramatic fashion, it'll make it more legit for him to fight Jermell Charlo, and that'll make that fight bigger. So it's a win-win-win for everybody except for the person that loses this fight. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's a paycheck and they boxers, they love to box. I just want to see Tony Harrison get one more shot. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, let the best man win. That's my thoughts. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments below. Be blessed. No stress. Peace. Together we stand. Divided it goes down. We fall. Y'all know how it go. New to the channel, sub up, subscribe up. All my old subscribers that's been rocking with me from day one. Salute. Appreciate y'all, man. I'm gone.